This is a story about Tall Feather and how he got his name. We were in Okinawa, and we'd been training with the Marines out there doing a lot of, it's called the Northern Training Area. We're up there in the jungles and you're doing this deep jungle training. And my platoon had been selected to be what we call the Op 4. We're the bad guys, right? And so we set up in the jungle and we came up with our plans of how we were gonna fight all these Marines that were helicoptering in and then working their way towards the objective. And the first two platoons were really easy. I mean, those platoon commanders came in and there was a trail and there was an easy way in, and the ability to move their troops was simple. You put them on a trail, you follow the map, you do the right thing, and or not the right thing, but you travel along on this trail. So we literally took 3 guys with a machine gun, and we went and we would set up on the trail, and then we'd see them coming around a corner and we'd shoot off a blast of machine gun fire, and then they would deploy and get online and start fighting their way forwards. And while they were deploying, our 3 guys would run back 100 meters and lay back down on the trail. And then they'd deploy and they'd attack into us, and then they'd get tired of the attack because no one would be responding, and so they would fold back in and they'd start walking back down the trail. And then 100 meters down the road, they'd hit our guys again, and we'd shoot again, and there'd be this blast of machine gun fire, and they'd deploy, and we'd move back, and then they'd start shooting and fight their way forward, and then they'd get stuck in the jungle, and it went on and on and on. And on the radio, you know, we were listening for sounds of their movement and where the different platoons were. Well, there are 3 platoons. This was only 2 of them. And after doing this to them for a couple of hours, like they shut down. I mean, they were literally just following each other in trace, one after another, walking down this trail. And when they would shoot at them, they'd sort of deploy. And finally, the company commander got on the phone with the radio, and he says, "Hey, look, stop it. Like, let them be. Please let them get to the objective," because we were just delaying them too long. We weren't doing anything fancy. We were just, you know, blocking the one road in. Well, the whole time, while those 3 guys were holding off like 80 Marines coming down this trail, the rest of my platoon of 45 guys was literally searching the jungle looking for Tall Feather. That 3rd platoon, that guy just, we had no idea where he was. I mean, they landed in the LZ, he went into the jungle. Now, we knew what the objective was because we were guarding it, and we knew generally where the trail came into it. And I had feelers out, like searching through the woods, but the thing about Tall Feather was he was doing it right. You know, he wasn't allowing himself to be locked into procedures people had used into the past or the ways other folks had solved problems. He was actually like trying to win, and that makes it a lot harder to be the Op 4 for. So at the end of the day, I had to pull in all my guys. We brought them back towards the objective, and we took one squad and pulled them off to the side of the objective and said, look, the first 2 platoons are gonna come running up the hill. They're gonna attack you. You guys are gonna fight. That's gonna be over. And then when you are done with that attack, when things have slowed down and we've kind of shown our positions, that's when Tall Feather's gonna show up. And so that's why we're keeping a reserve, because he's gonna come off of one of these hills surrounding us, and he's literally gonna swing down and take the objective over, and he's gonna win the fight. And if we don't have anybody left who's not already found and already identified, we're gonna be toast. And sure enough, I mean, we went through this goofy like fight. These guys are tired. They've been running in and out of the jungle, deploying, not deploying, deploying, not deploying. The Marines were exhausted, and they kind of walked down to the objective, and you know, we banged at each other with blanks, and the fight was over in like less than 5 minutes. And then when everyone was kind of settled, sure enough, off from one far flank, and I don't even know how he got there, but he had gone all the way around through the back country of the Northern Training Area in Okinawa, Japan, which is just triple canopy jungle. And he had snuck his whole platoon of 40 guys around us, never been seen once, and then showed up and hit us right on the flank, right after everyone had kind of settled. And you know, can't say who won in those kind of things, but if we hadn't had a squad in reserves, we would have been rolled. And even then, I still had like 11 guys that were fresh against his 40-something guys that were fresh. And so we started calling him Tall Feather, because he was the guy who would take off into the woods and do the hard work, like go the extra mile, but do the right thing. And it was a great nickname for this guy. And I think what it does is it talks to us about the need to put in the extra effort. We have a saying, you know, winners drive home in the dark. Well, I think that applies for leadership too. I mean, there are a lot of things that have to be done to make yourself successful. There are a lot of things that winners do to make sure they know who their people are, and they're employing them within their skill sets, and they're prepping them for tomorrow. And Tall Feather did that stuff. I mean, he made them do the extra work. But man, they came out of nowhere, and they were fresh, and they were ready for the fight, when everybody else took the easy way and just rode down the trail. And you know, you respect guys like that. So I think Tall Feather, he did good things that day, and I learned a lot from watching him do it. So, you know, props out to you, buddy.